Ucha, Uben Neferni has Good Rising, Great Awakenings. Today is June 23rd, 2020, which means this is the 33rd anniversary of the day I became a mother to Emanuela Monoah Vela. And I've decided to share her birth story. Unfortunately, I haven't spoken to Monoah in 10 years, but I remember this day just like it was yesterday. This was 1987, mind you, when having home births was still revolutionary. And her dad and I decided not only was it going to be a home birth, it was going to be an unattended, unassisted home birth. Back then, we didn't have a car and we didn't have a cell phone. And everyone was really nervous and scared for us. And we went to see a midwife, I think 2 or 3 times before the birth, just for like a checkup. And on the 3rd visit, they were insistent that I hire them to be at the birth. And I was like, it didn't cost money to put the baby in there. It's not going to cost any money to get the baby out. Because they wanted to charge, like $2,000 or something. And when we said we didn't want them at the birth, they said, well, for $1,400, they'd bring all their equipment in case there was an emergency and, be seated in our living room while we were giving birth upstairs in our bedroom. And we were like, no, no, no. No, thank you. And so anyway, it was June 22nd because she was born at 12:15 a.m., like right after midnight on the 23rd. So I went into labor on June 22nd at around midnight. So her birth took 24 hours. And so like I said, I had gone to a few classes and we'd watched the videos. We'd seen the videos where things went wrong and they were telling us all the things that could go wrong. But I had total trust in nature at that time. I didn't have a lot of faith or trust in myself, but I completely trusted nature because I had just, been a vegetarian, vegan for not very long. And, had just transitioned from being a future astronaut to being a reggae singer. Well, I hadn't become a reggae singer yet. I was just someone who was having her spiritual awakening. I would just put it that way. So anyway, we lived in an apartment in Hyde Park area of Austin, Texas, and it was a 2-story apartment. So the bedrooms were upstairs. And I remember waking up shortly after midnight on the 22nd, and I guess that was a Monday morning because I'm pretty sure she was born on a Tuesday. Oh, and today is a Tuesday morning. What do you know? And I woke up her dad, and he was like, oh, okay, wake me up when the baby gets here. Or, no, wake me up when the baby's coming. And I'm like, what? Oh, my gosh. Ah. So he went back to sleep, and I don't really know exactly everything I did. That part is a blur. But I had all my herbs downstairs. I had read all the books. We had sterilized all of the newborn equipment by putting it in a brown paper bag and putting it in the oven at 200 degrees. And I had, we had everything that we needed. And we were ready. So anyway, when he finally woke up, oh, I know what I was doing. I was walking up and down the stairs. I was walking around the apartment complex because I was told to just keep walking. So I was never really stationary until the time for the delivery. So when he did wake up, I remember I was crushing his hand. I was like, and the contractions came, and I was, ah. And I had this wonderful, majestic antique chair, a lion chair. It had, it was covered in leather with a tall back, and the armrests looked like lion's paws, and the feet of the chair looked like lion's paws. And I remember pressing back, holding his hand during the contractions, like on a roller coaster. So that went on for, like the whole day. And then one of our so-called friends came by all in a panic, like, I just can't believe you all are here without a phone and without a car, and I'm just so worried about you. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And so, she totally changed the whole energy of the whole program. She brought so much fear and panic. And towards the evening, I remember it was like 9 o'clock maybe. or you know, I don't remember what time it was, in the evening, she made him go to the store and get, you know, plastic gloves and all this, like, you know, medical equipment. And we were like, we have our sterilized shoelace and we have our sterilized scissors to cut the umbilical cord, you know, like, what are you talking about? So he left, and she was just like all hysterical. And then let's see what happened. I guess I hadn't dilated as much as, you know, we thought we should have. I should have by this time. And he called the midwife, and they told him, you know, to pop my water bag. So he took the crochet hook and put it in the flame and sterilized the crochet hook, and then he had to pop the water bag. And so that, you know, that helped. And then it got closer to, you know, the time, and for some reason I was not drinking my teas. I don't know what happened. I had everything. I had, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. You know, I had everything that I needed in my kitchen. But this person that came by, she was just so fearful that, like I said, she just changed the whole vibe. And I stopped trusting myself. That was what my mistake is. I stopped trusting nature. And I believe that she knew more about it than me, even though she didn't. Later on, she said she hadn't actually been at the birth. She was just in the house where the birth was happening. She wasn't like in there. But anyway, so we popped the water bag, and things sped up after that. And then, you know, I don't know, I think I was laying down, you know, like looking back, it's like, this was my mistake. This was my mistake. This is my, you know. But like I said, no one that we knew at that time had ever given birth without a midwife or going to the hospital. Like it was unheard of back then. And it's still rare now, like accidentally, but planned, you know. Yeah, so, you know, I'm still like squeezing his hand and walking up and down the stairs, and we were playing, you know, all of our favorite reggae songs, Burning Spear, you know, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Peter Tosh. I remember that. We had a little jam box, and it was blasting, Marcus Garvey words come to pass. That was Monoah's birth song, because that's what it was playing when she was born. That's her birth song. But anyway, so... yeah, so he popped the water bag, things started happening, and Monoah was born. She was being born, it was happening, but her cord was around her neck. And so Mario, her dad, he had to, you know, slip it off from around her neck. So he saw all these things. He had to pop the water bag. He had to, I'm just like, so Monoah was born. And she was beautiful, and you know, everything was going fine. We waited till the umbilical cord stopped throbbing. You know, we tied it with the shoelaces, and it would stop throbbing. We cut it in between. We tied it 3 inches from my belly button and 3 inches from her belly button, and everything was fine. And Mario, you know, got her cleaned up, and I was nursing her. We didn't have any problems, but the placenta didn't come. Like I said, she was born at 12:15 on the 23rd, 12:15 a.m., right after midnight. But by 5 o'clock, the placenta still hadn't been delivered. And that woman was still panicking, like, right there in big, like, trouble delivering placenta, drink your red raspberry leaf tea. I had a gallon already prepared. It was already written out, but I did not listen. I didn't trust my intuition. All that went out the window. This woman took over, and you know, because they tried pulling it out, you know, it wasn't happening, and I wasn't able to tend to the baby because it was just a big mess. And so I agreed to go to the emergency room. So we took Monoah to the emergency room, and you know, we're there, and the doctor immediately was like, prepare for surgery, prepare this one for surgery, get the baby checked out. And thank goodness there was a nurse there named Laura. I don't remember her last name, but she was like, doctor, the baby's fine. She's here with her mom and her dad. The mom just needs you to deliver the placenta. You don't need any surgery. Just manually remove the placenta. And the doctor was like, well, prepare for surgery anyway. And so, you know, we went into the room. And, of course, my breasts are getting, you can't imagine it now. They're getting filled with milk. And I lay down in this chair, or I don't know what it was, and the doctor, you know, stuck his hand up into my vagina and pulled out this huge placenta. It was all twisted like this, like that, right? And the doctor was like, there's no way you would have been able to deliver this on your own. It's a good thing you came into the emergency room. Because he said it was the hugest placenta he'd ever seen, and it was like all twisted up, like in knots. And he says, what were you eating during your pregnancy? And I said, during the last trimester, I was eating 2 watermelons a day. I was having one for breakfast and one for dinner. And I don't really remember eating anything else but watermelon. And then, you know, he cleaned me up, and then we went home and started our life with Monoah, and everything just changed after that. She is, but at her birth, she was just this divine being from light. People would come by and watch her breathing because she was just like an angel. She would sleep like this, or she would sleep like this, no, like this, like she was just in these majestic poses, and she looked like an elder, like a very old, wise woman, old soul, in this little tiny body. And our friends we would just look at her breathing, because no one had ever known anyone who delivered a baby without an attendant. And then, you know, something was just so special about her. I don't know how to put it into words. I'm gonna you know, put some pictures in with this video so you can see her when she was a baby. And also, when I was pregnant with her, that's when I first started to play the piano again. And the first song that I wrote as an adult is called Manoah's Ark. It doesn't have words. Well, when she turned 18, I wrote some words out to it, but I never recorded the song. And when I moved to Chicago, a lot of my music notes got lost. But I'm hoping that they're still there, because I'm starting to record all my old songs again, my older songs. But anyway, I just wanted to remember this day and, you know, share a little bit about the birth story, because it was kind of traumatic, you know, when you look back on it. But I had so much trust in nature, and, you know, it was just something that we had to do. We just couldn't imagine our child being born in a hospital, and we didn't need a midwife. We you know, the way we lived back then was very revolutionary. Those were some really magical times. And you know, like I said before, I haven't spoken to Monoah in 10 years, and if she sees this video, I want her to know how much I love her and how much I've really changed since the last time we spoke. And I'm looking forward to our next encounter. And I hope you enjoy hearing about your birth story. So stay tuned. I'm gonna play the song Manoah's Ark, and there'll be some pictures of Monoah with the song. Okay? All right. Hatep.